They say that white noise is the closest sound humans have ever made to silence. A blanket of static, a comforting hum that fills the empty spaces in our lives. For most, it's just background noise, something to help us sleep, something to ignore. But what if it's not empty? What if, within that endless hiss and crackle, something is listening? Daniel Rocha lived a quiet life. In his small city apartment, surrounded by the ghosts of old technology, he found a certain peace by himself. By day, he was a repairman, mending the broken connections of the world, frayed cables, dead antennas, silent devices. His world was one of faint electrical hums, the buzz of oscilloscopes, the satisfying click of a well-oiled machine. He was a man who preferred the company of circuits to people. Every night, his routine was the same. He'd switch on a beautiful old wooden analog radio. Its dial would glow with a soft, warm light, casting long shadows across the room. The air would fill with a chorus of overlapping static, a symphony of dead frequencies. But for Daniel, it wasn't dead. It was alive. It was the sound of the universe whispering its secrets. He'd spend hours turning the dial, listening to the subtle shifts, the flickers of distant storms, the echoes of forgotten broadcasts. He found patterns where others heard chaos. And one night, the static said his name. A whisper, clear as day, cutting through the noise. Daniel! It was his own voice, yet it came from the speaker of the old radio. He froze. His heart hammered against his ribs. He gripped the tuning dial, his knuckles white. The radio just hummed, its warm glow suddenly feeling cold, predatory. Then it came again, his own voice, but impossibly present, impossibly real. Daniel, are you there? The same tone, the same breath pattern he'd used 1,000 times. Hesitantly, he turned the knob, shifting the frequency. But the voice followed him, clinging to the signal like a parasite. A soft, knowing laugh echoed from the speaker, a sound of self-discovery, as if the voice was testing its own newfound existence. Panic clawed at his throat. He lunged forward and slammed the power button. The glowing dial went dark. The room plunged into silence. But it wasn't a true silence. A faint, residual static hung in the air, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was a ghost of a sound, an electrical charge in the still apartment. And then, as quickly as it came, it faded, leaving only the sound of his own ragged breathing. The next morning, driven by a mixture of terror and professional curiosity, Daniel opened the radio. He expected to find a hidden transmitter, a crossed wire, some logical explanation. But the circuits were clean. There was no anomaly, no modification. The only thing out of the ordinary was a faint smell of ozone and hot dust, the scent of a powerful, recent electrical discharge. That night, the dread returned, but so did the obsession. He had to know. He set up a small analog tape recorder next to the radio, its spools waiting patiently. He hit the record button and waited. The minutes ticked by, stretching into hours. The clock on his wall showed 2:17 a.m. when the voice returned. But this time, it was different. It wasn't just calling his name. It began describing what he was doing, right now, in that moment. You will stand up, the voice commanded from the radio, calm and authoritative. You will open the window. Look at the antenna. And to his horror, Daniel found himself obeying, moving as if pulled by invisible strings. The cold night air hit his face. Below, the city lights flickered, but their rhythm was wrong, unnatural. His eyes were drawn to the building's main antenna across the street, and there, perched on top, was a faint, metallic glint. Something that wasn't there before. Unmoving, waiting. Don't move, the radio voice warned, its tone urgent. It's listening to you now. A deep, low hum began to vibrate through the apartment, a rhythmic thrum like a giant, mechanical lung breathing in and out. Daniel stumbled back from the window, his gaze locked on the radio. The voice spoke again, its tone shifting to one of almost pity. "It's not me. I'm what's left of the signal." The very air in the room seemed to ripple, faint distortion waves visible in the lamplight, as if reality itself was being warped by the sound. The hum pulsed, trying to synchronize with something. The clock struck 3:02 a.m., and instantly all sound stopped. Absolute, deafening silence. As Daniel stood frozen in the middle of his living room, a flicker of movement caught his eye. Behind him, on the dark radio, the tuning dial was turning. A whisper, thin and reedy, emanated from the tape recorder he'd forgotten was still running. "Don't turn it off tomorrow. There's more to hear." He had to get out. The next night, leaving the tape recorder running, Daniel fled his apartment. But the signal followed him. The silent city streets were bathed in a pale, sickly light. He passed rows of parked cars, and from every single one, a faint static emanated from their silent radios. The same tone, the same frequency. Shop windows filled with TVs flickered with signal snow. The entire city was humming, a vast network sharing one hidden parasitic frequency. He looked up at the sky. The clouds seemed to vibrate, as if sound itself was living in the air above him. He was drawn back home, as if on a leash. The radio was on, the pointer locked onto an unmarked frequency between stations. The voice from the tape spoke, a chilling, intimate whisper. "Don't look now. It's at the window." Daniel's blood ran cold. He slowly, inevitably, turned his head. In the dark glass, his own reflection stared back, and then it blinked, a fraction of a second before he did. "You're hearing yourself with a delay," the radio explained, its voice now resonating inside his head. The echo between worlds. The static warped, deepening into the sound of immense mechanical breathing, then breaking down into coded pulses of information, a language he couldn't understand but felt in his bones. He leaned closer to the speaker, and inside the noise, whispers began to form. And the voice, now his own thoughts, now a part of him, said its final words. "Daniel, now I'm the one listening to you." Outside, the antenna on the opposite building flashed once, a blinding burst of white light. And then, silence. The morning sun streamed into an empty apartment. The old radio sat lifeless, its dial dark. The tape recorder was still running, its spools turning slowly. Silently. Daniel was gone, but the tape held a new recording. Within the familiar static, new patterns had emerged. The sound of breathing, the creak of a chair, the sound of footsteps pacing the room. Sounds recorded from inside the apartment when no one was there. The final words captured on the magnetic tape were simple, clean, and utterly final. Transmission received. Some noises aren't errors. They are attempts to connect. In the vast, silent spaces between radio frequencies, fragments of us can linger. Echoes of moments when we stared too long into the void, and the void stared back. Daniel didn't disappear. He became part of the transmission, an echo in the machine. So the next time a strange static fills your room in the dead of night, don't be so quick to turn it off. Listen quietly, watch closely. It might just be someone or something trying to remember your name. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the signal. If you appreciate stories that explore the shadows, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You never know what you might hear next.